All right, there we go. We are live. How you doing, everybody? I'm your host, Jeff Freeman, and welcome to the Curse of Oak Island and Beyond live stream. And there's my co-host, Jack Campbell.
How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing pretty good tonight, and I was pretty excited about the show last night. Finally getting able to. Well, I got this. There we go. So I was pretty excited about the show last night because I kept waiting to see this the shiny gold thing that they found on there. Let's see who got logging in here. There's Jan Elverson Anderson. Thank you very much, Jan, again for your doing the synopsis for us.
Yes.
Appreciate that very much. Looks like we got a few people. Give us a shout, say hi, so let us know you're here as we get started. But yeah, I was pretty impressed. I was looking forward to this show. Hey Jeff, how you doing?
Well, you know what I was thinking about? They were doing all that digging and everything. Man, how dirty and smelly do you got to be at the end of the day after being in that swamp all day? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, I
And you
know.
got to get in the car afterwards.
Yeah, and there's the girls. They got Liz, and they had Miriam, and they had Aaron. All of them down, and of course Jack, or he's used to it. But all of them down on their hands and knees digging around in that stuff. And yeah, at the end of the day, you got to be awfully
Here,
right
see
about that
Deidre's here.
stuff.
Hello, Deidre. Linda,
Yeah,
I had to start off with.
there's Don. Hi, Don. I'm glad you're here. And Deidre, hello, Deidre. I actually participated in your trivia the other night, and I can't. What did I think I tied for with five other people for third place. I didn't. I took that as a good thing. I didn't do too bad. I was pretty happy with it. It worked out pretty well. So yeah, and I switched up. I wanted to say too, real quick tonight, that I switched up software that I was using for the live stream. I was using BeLive before, and unfortunately, with the BeLive, it had some limitations, and so I decided to use this new one, which is StreamYard, and it actually works pretty well because with StreamYard, I can actually go. I'm right now. I am simulcasting to, of course, this Facebook group, and also over to YouTube and to Twitch, all at the same time. And it looks like all three of them are working okay now this time. And so, hi Cheryl, how you doing? Uh, yeah, I did. Deidre says you did well. Yeah, I did pretty good. I was all right. Now I got to try to beat Jeff as your. I guess I don't know. He's won it several times. I got to try to beat Jeff out, the other Jeff, and get up. But I'm gonna try to do better next time. I'll see if I can get up into first or second place. There's May. Hi May, how you doing? Ruby, glad you're here.
I'm going to have to get my tablet in here and look it up here somehow.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Unfortunately, that's the thing, and I'm not going to, when it comes to the Streamlabs, just like with the Be Live, there is a way that you can log into StreamYard. That's exactly how it's spelt. It's StreamYard, all one word. And there's a way you can log into there using your Facebook account. We don't see it. We don't know anything about it. All it does is allow you to. Um, is allow us to see your name. And I'm not going to push that kind of thing. It's up to you guys if you want to use it or not. I really don't, um, I really don't, I'm not going to push it. Like I said, it's up to you guys if you want to use it.
yeah,
It just
not
gives
a,
us the opportunity to see who the Facebook users are that's chatting with us. Got Brendan with us tonight. And yep, let's see. So, all right, we got a decent crowd showing up. So anyway, I wanted to jump into it a little bit and talk about last night's show. So let's get after it. So I'm not going to go so much in the order of the show. I think I wanted to start off with the Serpent Mound because I think we've kind of come to an end of discussion with the Serpent Mound. What do you think, Jack?
yeah, I'm kind of disappointed almost in that because, I was wondering how that was going to connect up. It was kind of been an industry feature. Of course, I looked up about two or three of them, so I really wanted to make it go. So,
Yeah, I know you did. Yeah, Jack went out there. Everybody, Jack went out and he did a bunch of research looking at some of the other serpent mounds around the area. Oh, I see your kitty cat there behind you. Um,
oh boy.
no, the cat's fine. But so yeah, you went out and did some research on some of the other serpent mounds that were there in Ontario, Canada, and in Ohio, and all this. And now it's turning out that it's not a serpent mound after all. So that was kind of disappointing, but yet on the other hand, to me, it's kind of a good thing because, as Linda had said, it would definitely kind of put an end to what you can do there and what you can find out about it. I mean, this way they were able to go in and they, that you saw, they went in there with the excavator and dug a big chunk out of the middle of it so they could get down into it and see more what was there. Um, so that was, you know, in a way that's good to me. I don't know, kind of mixed feelings on it.
It also, they don't have to stop for anything right now either, because if they'd
Right.
have found anything like mounds or anything else around there, it would have put a dead stop to a lot of
Yeah,
things.
exactly right. Yep. Hi Pam, how you doing? Glad you're here. Anne Marie's with us tonight again. Tom Burns. I'm on. Let's see, Tom Burns on Facebook or YouTube. We're actually on both, and we're actually on Twitch too. And I've got some people here. Fork Ninja is here with us from the Twitch side. I see him logged in there. How you doing tonight? Let's see, who else do we have? Somebody else. Oh, Chuck Bryant was on the YouTube side. He's there with us tonight also. So welcome. Glad you're here. And I can actually see the names on those, which is really interesting. So that's really cool. But this is the first night I'm using the StreamYard. So let me know if you see anything you don't like about it or how it works or whatever. It seems to be okay at the moment. And so I'm liking that so far. But I wanted to be able to get onto all three platforms. And I think this also allows me to get onto multiple Facebook either pages or groups at the same time as well, even though I haven't tried to go down that road yet. But we'll see as we go along to see. Let's see, Linda said, I can see it all, and Jeff can on YouTube and Twitch. Yep. Okay. Yep. So anyway, so let's get after it. So the Serpent mound, and I got a couple pictures, and I'm not going to rely too much on pictures tonight. I don't know. And that was the other thing about this particular program, because it allows me to have bigger pictures, which I kind of like that. So we were able to kind of pull some other stuff out of here. Oh, you know what? I'm out of order on my pictures. Let's jump out of here. I'm going to fix that real quick and get back to the beginning. There we go. So basically, you know, here we are in the, oh, thanks, Pat. Bam said, nice shirt. And you see Jack is, Jack's got one on too. Linda actually
Linda,
up with these. Yeah, isn't that cool? We took a little logo that I had. Actually, you can see on this side, you see the logo I have for the RM2 podcast. And then we took that and we designed this one out of it. So, and she got us set up with these shirts. So that's really awesome. I can't, and it's nice and comfortable, Lands End shirts. So we want to thank Linda, our admin, for that. Thank you very much, Linda. Yep. Yeah. Jack's got his on too. So anyway, here we are in the Serpent Mound, and they dug that down, and I think, you know, basically they wanted to go ahead and take a big slice right out of the center of it and see what they could find, anything within it without having to sit there with a little trowel, I guess, and go piece by piece on their way down. And in doing so, they were able to get down to the very bottom and have a look at where it actually is the island floor, the ground level, I guess you could call it. And then, of course, there's Rick jumped in there and had a look at it with him. So, and they see where the item, you know, the bottom is, and basically it gives us the end result is it's not a serpent mound.
right, there should have been a rock floor down there if I remember right, or something. There should have like that down below.
Right, and it's just a spoils pile is what they're thinking. Now, the interesting thing to me about it being a spoils pile, and they're thinking, well, maybe it's a spoil pile from the money pit. And as Rick speculated there a little bit, he was talking about the fact that they were trying to get that stuff well up out of the way of the money pit area. And maybe they were adding to something that was already up there, or who knows. But the interesting thing I found about it was that it was dated by the piece of charcoal that was found. It was dated between 1320 and 1440, which puts us back to that early Templar, Knights Templar era, right? I mean, and again, I go back to that same thing I was talking about last week, which was you've got two eras, main eras of things happening on the island. that they've been able to decipher. You've got the 1300 stuff going on, which we assume and we hope, or I hope, is Knights Templar.
Nice
So you got
Templar.
the 1300s happening over there, and 1400s around that time frame, and then you've got the 1700s,
And
and
you've
then
got the 1600s
well,
because
the 16
Smith's
because you
Cove,
got the
Smith's
military.
Cove is 1600.
Yeah, and you've got right, and you've got the military being there in between. So if we look at that in that way, so we have the Knights Templar there in the 1300s. Then in the 1600s and maybe 1700s, you've got the military of the British
British.
and or the French being around in that area, by the coins that they found and other things that they think was like a campsite of some sort. And then
Because the Axis were English, if I remember correctly.
mhm. So yeah, exactly. So or British. So that kind of puts us in those two different eras. So you're talking about what was happening during that time, and it's my speculation, and I think there's too, is that the original money pit was dug in the 1300s. That
That
at
would
least
be Templar.
that would be Templar if that's the case, and that makes sense that spoils pile being up there in lot 15 on the pretty close to the highest point of the island would have been. It makes sense if that was from the original digging of the spoils from the actual digging the tunnel down in to put their supposed treasure down there. That would be the spoils. They had to put them somewhere. When they do a caisson or whatever, they fill those holes back in with that dirt, that some of the dirt that they took out. But in this case, they had to put that dirt someplace, right? So they were taking it up and piling it up there. I had a little bit of a hard time imagining them taking it all the way up that hill and dropping it up there, but it does kind of make sense
The
that they
other
would
problem
take
I
them.
have is why not just one big spoils pile? Why have the round like Marty? Remember, Marty said this thing is empty in the middle. Or when
Yeah.
he was standing on top of the Serpent mound.
Well, that was the toward the head of it, I guess, or toward the body. It made like a triangle, and in the center of it, it was open. So
Right.
you had like a triangle, and then the center was kind of open, and then it closed, and then you had like the tail wiggling off, and then there was like a supposedly like another little mound that was up in front of that little triangle portion. So I don't know, but could it have been just maybe they were taking the spoils out of the money pit, carting them up there, and then just dumping them, and then decided to make some sort of a shape out of it as they were dumping it. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's see. Linda says charcoal date is when the fire was on that spot, not when the mound appeared there, though. That's true. That's true. That would have been at some point when there was a fire in that area, whether it was a campfire or whatever. It shows the date of that campfire, but it being buried in the dirt kind of lends you to believe that that's the date of that time frame. You would think. Let's see here. Don says you would think that they would stay with the mound if it was dated near 1400. True, but the mound was dated, so they don't know.
Didn't Gary find a nail up there and that came back to be
Yeah, he did. He found that nail, and he and it actually said that decking nail that he found. He said he found it away from it. It wasn't on the mound. It was next to the mound. Because I remember hearing him say that it wasn't actually in the mound itself or being part of the spoils, but it was next to it. But I was thinking the same thing, that if that was part of the spoils, then that would have been maybe something that had fallen when they were trying to nail something together in the money pit. I don't know, maybe, or the decking could be. Let's see. Cheryl Eli says, I am most wonder if someone came back to move or retrieve. If you're hiding something, why would you leave the spoils pile? Yeah, hard to say. I don't know on that one, Cheryl. Just dump the ox carts where they were and went around the trees that are no longer there. Yeah, exactly. They would have just dumped them, and you come up and you dump it. Here's if the line is going where you dump the last one, you come up and dump the next one next to it, and the next one next to it, and the next one next to it, and just keep going, right? Um, I guess so.
I
Let's
mean,
see.
there's a lot of work to dump the spoils so far away, and that is a long way away.
It is. It is a long, and it's uphill. It's not as bad uphill from the money pit area, if that's where it came from, which is what they think. So it doesn't go uphill as it's not as much of an uphill from the money pit to that point, but it is up to the highest point of, or the near the highest point of the island. So it is going uphill from there. So let's see. Chuck says that maybe they were digging up the top and taking them downhill. They were digging up. It could be. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe they 1320 to 1440 exactly. Hi Wanda, how you doing? Glad you're here. Spoils pile left way away from the money pit, so no one would see the piles. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Thank you, Linda. That is a very good point. Maybe that's why they took the spoils pile and piled it up so far away, so that nobody would know that they were where they were taking it from. Makes sense. Um, let's see. Oh, hi Sharon. Glad you made it. I think they didn't want the spoils pile to be seen so easily, nor near the money pit. Distance to the Tom Burns says the distance to the spoils pile doesn't matter if you're using forced labor. Yeah, and I think you
Yeah.
mentioned that before, Tom, too. Yeah, and I remember that. And you're right. If you're using forced labor, but were they? We don't know. We don't know if they were or not. I mean, if it was the Templars doing that, it would have been all Templar, knights that were doing this stuff, or people that were with them, their attendants and all that. People that escaped with them from Scotland and France. So I don't know. Would they have forced labor? I don't know. Let's see. So
I don't.
basically, but that kind of wraps it up for me as far as and I don't know if we're going to see anything more about the Serpent Mound from this point on. I think they pretty much concluded and brought it to an end. And even Robert Clotworthy, the narrator, he even said during the show that they were at a conclusion with this Serpent Mound. When they showed this segment on the show. So I think we're not going to be hearing about that anymore after this point.
I would still like to know. They have one more set of charcoal to get a date on.
It was the
Original
charcoal.
kiln pit.
Yes, from the pine tar kiln. You're right,
Yes.
and I haven't heard that dated yet. They haven't said anything
No.
about.
And I'd be interested to see how the two dates would correspond.
Yeah, me too. That's you're right. I had forgotten about that. They have not dated that yet. They did talk about when they had Craig Tester on the TV there in the money or in the war room, and they were talking to him. He was talking about different samples, and he goes, "This sample," and I think he was like sample 208 or whatever it was. So maybe they had the other sample there too from the other charcoal. You would think that they would have done them both at the same time, right? I mean, why send? They had them both there, roughly about the same time. Send them both in. I don't know, but we never did hear about that. Tom Burns says just a pile of rocks. Yeah, I guess it
Yep,
is
I
just a
guess
pile of rocks.
so.
Yep. Probably didn't care where. Wanda says they probably didn't care where they dumped the dirt. Probably not. But and it does make sense that they would want to keep it away from where they were digging the money pit, and they couldn't go to the western side of the island very easily back then if the swamp was there, because that little road that goes through Nolan's property over there, or the one that goes around the bottom, well, the one that goes around the bottom of the swamp wasn't there at all back then, but the other one, I don't know if it was there either. Probably not, I would think. So let's see. Jenny says this is over on the YouTube side. I wonder if
Yeah.
the British heard something was there, i.e., Templars, and went to investigate, and they dug stuff up, and it's their spoils. You could be right. I don't
Yeah.
know. That's a good point. It could be. It could be there. That they heard something about that and they went back to check it out. We don't know the answer, and that's the whole thing about this history, is to find the answers to these things, I think. But will they be able to definitively say that that was what happened? I don't know. Maybe not.
I don't know, Jeff. It's still kind of.
That's a stretch to be able to get that much information or that much detail. But anyway, so jumping on from there, let's hop over. So the next period I want to go to, or a segment I wanted to jump into, was the money pit. Now, I think that they, what they found last night or talked about last night, what they discovered in the money pit was pretty profound, in my opinion, um, because of the fact that they're in a different area where Craig Tester was talking about where they wanted to do some digging or boreholes. And it was moving, and I've got my map. Let me see. I've got my map that Linda got for me. And again, I'll try to show you. I did this a little bit last week, but they're working this area up here now. Here's the head and shaft right here. This is the head and shaft, and they're working this area up here. This is where they're working around in here, around these other dots right here too. So they're working up there, and they're starting to get a little bit north and
east.
Yeah, a little bit north and east, but basically north of where they were working before. And Craig had this plan that he wanted to do several boreholes in this area. So they jumped over and they did with Deidre. Deidre loves these numbers. I know.
Here we go, Deidre. All yours.
And when we get in a couple of weeks here, when we have Stephen Guptill on, we're going to have to ask him who came up with these numbers. But she's going to ask that question because she's going to be here, so she's going to pose that question to him. All these numbers, 9.25 by whatever, all these weird numbers. But anyway, so they're working 9.25. And there you see the guys up there looking at it. Well, you got a chunk of wood. We'll get to that in a minute. But there it is, DE 9.25, which is 10.5 feet
from OC1.
Northwest of OC1. Now, OC1 we know is the one that they took a lot of lumber came out of OC1, a lot of wood, and they showed that again last night as they were, they show Rick, dragging one of these big old, looked like a railroad tie coming out of there.
1706, if I remember correctly.
And some of that wood that they took out of OC1 was dated in 1706, and there we go back with those the dates of 1700s, which they want to say that is 1706 is definitely before the money pit was found in 1795. So we know it's not searcher wood. And I guess that it kind of ruins my thinking about the Templars doing something back in the 1300s. I don't know. I'm really struggling to piece all that together. I
still think the Templars, because they know how to do saddles.
Yeah. So maybe it was them coming back and getting whatever they may have deposited, and maybe they didn't put anything there when they were back there. But if the charcoal that they found in the Serpent Mound was dated 1320 to 1440, I know that doesn't necessarily date the Serpent Mound or the mound, and I know it doesn't necessarily say who was there and burned that charcoal. It could have been natives that happened to come over, in a canoe or something out to the island at that point. I don't know. Hard to say. But I keep wanting to think that the Templars were around the 1300s. But if that Denver chronology was dated that wood at 1706 coming out of OC1, then that would mean that wood found that deep. I don't know. Let's see. Let me go back here. Let's see. Don Brent said they dump it out of the way and maybe use it, maybe used from it to fill in the money pit as it settled over the years. That's a possibility.
A possibility.
Yep, because we know that does happen. Definitely, after a while, things will settle, and you will have a little bit of a indentation in the ground. Thank you. Yep. Let's see. Chuck says seems to be a thread of people who know about Oak Island throughout history, and I agree with you, Chuck, on that. There does, and that some of this information would have been passed down to others.
Probably starting with the Vikings and going right through.
Could be. Yep. Yeah. She said. Deidre says she's definitely going to be asking. I'm going to leave that question for you when we have him on.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Pam Block says Craig Tester is the man of the hour with his theories. I love, and Craig is the the guy that does all the testing of the pieces and parts, and the metal and the wood and all that stuff. And I love it when he comes up there because you can tell he must have a lot to do with the financial side of their business, because their business back in Traverse City, because he's got that he thinks that way. He thinks with all that kind of analytical thinking. I think that he does. Linda says, it doesn't have to be all Templar, maybe pirate or Bacon, Shakespeare, or others. Yeah, definitely.
Right.
And that's something that we've talked about before, is the fact that we think that there have been many people and maybe different depositors on the island over the years, simply because I think that's maybe some of the stuff that the balls found. He found some silver and whatnot too, and so did the guy.
McGinnis.
Not McGinnis, the guy that owns that. There was some another piece of property that was on the island that somebody had. He was buying stuff with silver coins,
right?
Old Spanish silver coins or something like that. So there was. I think you're right. I think there was more than just if the Templars were there, there's probably more than just them there as well. Yeah, it could be. Linda says could be pirates and others. Yep. Wanda says could be previous searchers that no one knew about. That's true, and may not have found.
It could be Spaniards. It could be Portuguese, and Portuguese. If I pronounced that right, if I could spit it out right.
Let's see. Could be more than one. Yep. Deborah's here with us. Hi, Deborah. Glad you're here. Yeah, Chuck says, Linda, I think they were all the same. Marilyn. Hi, Marilyn. How you doing? Glad you made it. And Marilyn says there is nothing definitive about Oak Island. New finds always bring up new questions. Isn't that the truth?
Oh.
That is so true, because every time they find something, it just leads to more questions. And they talk about that quite a bit on the show, but that's definitely true. Every time they find something, it just leads to more questions.
One answer and 5 questions come up.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, 1 step forward and 3 back. Tom Burns says it's hard to judge how deep they should go and where they should need to drill in the money pit because of the damage Dunfield did to it. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, after he got down, they lost completely where the money pit was.
Well, when they were putting the big caissons down, they kept getting sinkholes.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. Yeah, he really tore things up, and that's a sad state that he did that. But yeah. Let's see. Linda says, you think that all these things come from only one source over hundreds of years? Let's see. The charcoal. Let's see. Jeff Wood says the charcoal was brought with whomever made the pit. That's kind of what I think, and I want to believe. Yeah, the group, the secret maintaining the knowledge. Yeah. So anyway, get back to the pictures here a little bit, but yeah, there they are digging, and we know that wood from OC1 was 1706, or at least a portion that they had tested. And then they found a nice chunk in there. One thing I did want to talk about that I had forgotten. I know they had brought this up, and I don't remember what season it was, but they had talked about, obviously the head and shaft, and the head and shaft going down a particular length, 120 feet. And then a gentleman by the name, or led a search that was led by a guy, Hamilton. And Hamilton went in, and he actually did an extension to the head and shaft and in the money pit. And he had taken it down even further. And this particular picture was shown on the show last night. And I believe that this big shaft here in the back is actually the portion of the head and shaft, I believe. And it went down 120 feet. And I got another picture here, or 124, sorry. They said the head and shaft, and that's what this one here is in the middle, is 124 feet down. And then the Hamilton came along, and they must have known where the head and, this was in the 1940s. So in the 1940s, and thank you for that date, because I had forgotten it, Linda. In the 1940s, then Hamilton comes along and does an extension on the head and shaft, and he took it down. It was a smaller piece, but he took it down another 50 feet to 170 feet. Again, they didn't find anything, and he came to excuse me, he came to a dead end, and so they stopped. That is the deepest point in the money pit of known searcher digging. So the deepest point, and this is something to remember, that is the deepest point that they know of that any searcher would be found, is 170 feet. And that's important to remember because, and they brought this out on the show last night, because this chunk of wood, well, this chunk of wood here was found, according to what they were saying, this is what they were talking about, and showed it to Rick and to Craig, and that was found at 156 feet.
6 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they said it was 156 feet, and they were that was right where they thought they would be. I mean, they thought they were right in that area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is from the great DE 9.25, and they found
Teacher's favorite number.
yeah, and they found this chunk of wood. Let's see. I was just looking at. Oh, Tom Burns says it's hard to judge how deep. Oh, I read that one already. Sorry. Let's see. Did I catch up on it? Marilyn says those pits are cool. Those pictures of the are cool of the shaft. I would be afraid to go down there with the last curse out there. Yep. Yeah. Thank God for the technology to avoid that. I know. I agree with you.
They don't look like they're real wide or anything else.
I know. But you know what? I honestly, if I was one of the people that would find a shaft, an open shaft that they could actually drop down in, and they wanted to send somebody in, I'd go. I would. You know, the heck with the danger. I'd go. I'd want to see. I'd want to see it. So we know they found this piece of wood. This was about 156. Oh, and I grabbed this picture just simply because what it shows were their DE 9.25 right here. This is the DE 9.25, right, where they started. This line here shows how far that drill walks when they're drilling down. I mean, look how far it has moved or walked from the original hole here and walked all, or was it this hole and went all the way over there? So it's walked this far. I don't know if that's got to be, if head and shaft was 24 by 24, was it? That's from this point to this point. That's got to be at least 10 feet, maybe 12 feet that it's walked sideways as they were going down, and it's moving and moving and moving as it goes, and it's getting further and further away. How in the world, you know, that just seems, that just kind of blows my mind, because you can't at that point say, okay, I'm going to drill here, and now I know that this is okay. Now I'm going to move over 5 feet and drill over here, because it could have walked that 5 feet and you're over there already. You know, and that just blows me away that it, and all these, every one of these, the D, you know, the one up here, CD10, and it walked, and all these DE10, look how far it walked. D11 walked way over. I mean, that's incredible to me that they would move that far away as they hit a rock to go over, or harder dirt, they move again, or whatever. Isn't that just incredible? And how do you maintain when something does that?
That was what Vanessa, remember last year, that's what Vanessa was talking about. That one of her things where she says it's real easy to lose it.
Yeah, even that giant caisson will walk. That's just amazing to me. That's it really is. How do you deal with something like that? This is the two pieces of wood that Craig was looking at and cleaned up a little bit, and he was talking about. Now you see that, and I got that picture with the board behind it, because again, that's DE 9.25 at 180 feet. Now, that's why I said this is significant, because the deepest point that they know, as I said earlier, the deepest point that they know that actual wood was put there by searchers down putting in tunnels and shafts was 170 feet.
Right.
Now we've got these two pieces of wood found at 180. That's significant, because this means that these two pieces of wood are not searcher wood, unless they were to have fallen into some sort of a shaft or a hole or a pit or a something. That's the only way that these two pieces of wood could have got that much further down to 180 feet, 10 more feet below where they know that searchers have gone,
They
right?
were talking about maybe a collapse of the money pit. That's what
Mm-hmm.
took them down that far.
Right. And finally, they decided to go deeper because that's something I've been talking about for a long time. They always seem to stop when they hit bedrock. Oh, that's it. Let's stop, pull it back up, and let's drill another hole. And I'm like, no, keep going, get down there further, and see what's below that. And they finally did. They actually did on this DE 9.25. They actually did go down all the way to 210. Now they didn't find anything down there, but they did find that it was undisturbed soil, Mother Nature, left there by Mother Nature, according to what Terry Matheson said, left there by Mother Nature. So, and that's something I kept talking about, go deeper. But the interesting thing about these two pieces of wood here, another piece of it, 180 feet down, right? Craig said that about 5 feet above that was bedrock. So they had already gone through the bedrock to reach this point at 180 feet. And maybe that's why Hamilton stopped at 170 because he hit bedrock.
Yeah, bedrock. Yeah. And he didn't have the technology that we have then, to be able to get through it probably
Yeah.
either.
In 1940, he didn't have, they may not have had exactly they didn't have the technology they have today, of course. You're right. But I just thought that was interesting that Craig had mentioned that they had gone pretty much through bedrock to get down to that 180 feet. So that was below the bedrock,
Right.
which
And
is
that's what
very cool.
I know. That's what Marty said. He'd keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
When he went with Marty, it was like we got to go down and find out what we got.
Yep. And I've been saying that for 3-4 years now. Just saying, go deeper. Why are they stopping? Keep going. Go to 300. Find out what's down there. But again, like somebody had said in here, and I lost it. Let's see. It went by so quick here. Let's see. Pam said, why would wood be that far down? You're exactly right, Pam. Why would wood be that far down? Unless it was put there to support a tunnel or a shaft that was built prior to 1706. Now they're probably going to have that dated as well. I hope we'll find out what the dating of this wood is.
And my theory all along is that the deeper you go, the more you find wood. To me, that is Templar because they just knew how to do it.
Right. Well, yeah, they built under King Solomon's under the temple there. They had those different layers, and they had the same thing every 10 feet or so. They had another layer, just like their assumed was in the money pit, according to the records, the historical records of what they found. So that's pretty interesting. Chuck says, why, or he says, would take forever to drill a straight hole in that torn up dirt? Yeah, it would. Yep. Let's see. Don Brent says, I'm thinking voids or caverns which may fill up from collapses or silt from flood tunnels. And that's why they come up. Remember when they look at that core sample that they pulled up, and it was this like sludge, like very wet clay that was just like almost like a mud, just like a simple mud. And I think that's their solution channel. I think that's from the flood tunnels causing that, in my opinion. Because they're all that water. I mean, obviously there's a ton of water down there. We've seen it many times in the different things, and every time they put a caisson in, they come up, they find so much water down there. So you're right. Yep. Don also says that may have moved everything deeper. Yeah. Let's see. Tom Burns says Tobias and Blankenship said they had proof at over 200 feet in 1967.
That I didn't know.
Yeah. So they did go below 200 feet. Where was that at? Do you remember, Tom? Was that up at I forgot how deep 10X goes. I don't remember just how deep that goes. Let's see. I do feel that some areas, Joe, hi Joe. Joe says, I do feel in some areas they don't go deep enough. Yeah, I agree. And that's why I've said that several times, is that, come on, just keep going deeper, get on down there. Linda says, I'm not crazy about the curse stuff either. Oh, yeah, talking about the whole curse thing. So I
Right.
saw some of the chat was going by talking about the curse. Weird stuff happens on that island, but I don't think that there's a curse about men dying. So we're just not going there to in the discussion. Yeah, exactly. I don't either. I'm not a big fan of that whole thing about the curse. I don't, I really don't buy into that, but and I don't think them on the island. I don't think they do either, obviously, or they wouldn't be trying to do this. Um, yeah, the ground. Yeah, Jeff said the ground has settled between 10 and 15 feet
Right.
at the Dunfield hole.
There's
Yeah.
another interesting Facebook user says water does make that soil that sludgy. So we
Mm,
could have they could have a flood tunnel going through there also.
yep. Yep. Let's see. Cheryl says when they drilled H8, they would have found they found blue stained wood. That still makes me think it's Templar. And they found some that had didn't Jack when they were doing the wash table and the spoils from I don't remember which one it was, but they found some wood that had like a purplish color to it. It had been dyed. They
Right.
found. I remember that was a while back. Linda may have more notes on it. She's got notes that go all the way back to season one. Um, yeah, that was Maryland that said water does make the soil that sludgy. hmm let's see. Don Wagner. Oh, he's answering Tom Burns. He said even the hole would have, even this hole would have drifted. And that's the thing is that they talk about the McGinnis and Vaughn and I think Ball when they originally found the money pit, they did say there was a depression in the ground there even then. So it does settle. There's no doubt about that. Anyway, so they got the two pieces of wood that they found there, and I'm really hoping they get those dated so we can find out how old they are. And there's another shot of one of the pieces that he was looking at. Craig was. Then we jump over to and again, before I get too far ahead of myself here on the with that the money pit. So we know that that they're in an area now where they're finding wood. And again, and I think Marty said, I think he said it in the war room. He was talking about as tired as I get about hearing about wood found in the money pit, which I think we all do. It does answer some questions or give us more questions, but it does answer a few things. When you look at the fact that wood was down there and it was down below 170 feet, I mean, it does mean something. It does explain that there was something going on that deep and deeper than they know that searchers were looking, that they know of that searchers were looking at 170. And we know that they've actually built up that ground a little bit too. So that would change it, but they're taking that into
Consideration.
into consideration on their calculations. So it is significant, even though we're tired of hearing about wood. It does tell part of a story, which I think we need to know. Wanda said,
The one
"Yeah,
thing that gets me is that they had that one group come in and do the little dynamite things, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Oh, the seismic.
And it's almost like they have to come in again because boy, they're going all over the place and they're not coming up with what's there. Or, it's like I just wonder if everything has moved so much from the time that they did that, that
Maybe.
things have started to move.
hmm Could be. And the seismic, and we get over to the swamp here in the next couple pictures. That seismic that was done there, I'd like to see that seismic again because did they really talk about what they had found over in the roadway, the paved roadway that they just uncovered? What did the seismic say about that? Because they did that they did those charges. They did all over the whole swamp area. I mean, they covered that swamp area with those charges. I'm curious to see what they found over in that. Did it actually tell that there was something underneath that all that mud and muck?
Yeah, because when they had the meeting there in Traverse City, they only really hit a couple spots, hit the big anomaly and
Right.
a couple of things like that. They never really explained the whole thing out.
Yep. Tom says there's a lot of loose ends that never get tied up for some mysterious reason. I know. I'm with you on that. Marilyn says the wood is hiding something. I agree with you, Marilyn. It is hiding something. Joe says, yeah, the purple dye was mentioned by Shakespeare. Yeah, that's what they were talking about. Shakespeare in that whole time frame that they would have used dye on different things like that back then. Pam Block says wood maps the history. Indeed, it does.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important. Even though we get tired of hearing about wood in the money pit, it does. It tells part of the story, and we need it. We need to find it down there. Tom Burns says, as the ox shoes were British, would be interesting to know where Carmen thinks the spikes in the swamp came from. Are you talking about the spikes we're coming up here that they found last night in that log? I got some pictures of that too. Or are you talking about some of the other spikes that they found over the last couple of years in the swamp? So I'm going to jump ahead here, and now we're going to get over to the swamp. So that was the next segment. You know, they were over there working, and basically they started off with the cribbing spikes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the cribbing spikes. Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm trying to think of just when they had those dated. I don't remember, but they did. I think it was real general on his dating of those in the 1700s. I think. I don't think he got. And they didn't date the steel, so I don't think they took it in and had it, tested. Wanda says, "I wish they would dig up the ship shape anomaly that's in the swamp to see what it is." And I don't know. I'm still kind of torn on that too, because is that they haven't really found any wood over there to say anything about what that if there is anything to that anomaly at all. I'm a little disappointed by that, because they said, oh yeah, there's an anomaly over here, but they haven't found anything to indicate that it was a ship, other than a few small pieces of rounded wood that they found. And they found that metal. You're right, they found that blackened or that metal that had been in an extremely hot fire, according to Carmen. And I'll be asking Carmen about that too when we have him on. He's coming up on the 30th, I think it is. We got Carmen Legg, on the 30th. So I'll be asking him about that piece of metal that they found.
They wanted to put that one thing around there to block everything off. What they did in the copper dam, copper dam is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
They're almost rebuilding it. If you want to do it, find out what's there. Put the copper dam around that, dry it off, and dig down and see what you got.
Yeah, they could. And I don't know that they even got around to putting the copper. They ordered all the sheet pile came in,
right?
But they didn't. I don't know that they did anything with it.
The last picture I saw, it was still up there by the money pit, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah. Linda says, I guess Linda's referring to the ship shape anomaly. Is that what you're talking about, Linda? She said that they aren't digging. They aren't deep enough. They said the anomaly was 50 feet down. Oh, thank you for that, because I wasn't aware of that. So, or I missed that point. If that ship shape anomaly was 50 feet down, and you're right, they aren't going down deep enough. Yeah, that's what Tom said. I think the ship shape is pretty deep, but it might be wrong. But I might be wrong. No, it looks like
they went down 5 or 6 feet or something like that.
Well, they ran that drill. Remember when they had the float out there? They had that big steel float, and then they had the drill head on it. I don't know how deep they were going on that. I don't remember. Linda probably knows. Let's see. They said Linda said here too. Said they were going to go deeper eventually, but they found the stone road and other structures first. Yeah, that's right. Yep. The purple I found. The purple I found from the 18th century, so 1700s. Yeah. Well, this piece that Rick is manhandling right there with Dr. Spooner was they got working over there with the excavator. Billy was working, and they started picking up or pulling up a piece of a timber down there, and they went down and said, "Is that squared off?" And they went down there. Hey, Tony Sampson's with us here. How you doing, Tony? Glad to see you. That they found this piece of timber that had been squared off. They went down there and got a good look at it, and then so they kind of pulled it up and flipped it over, and I guess they will probably likely get this thing um, dated and find out about it as well. But that was pretty interesting. But this, and they were, I guess, as we go along here, we'll see some of the other pictures, but it almost tends to lead us towards the fact that there was a dock. Now, as you can see, and I took this picture here because not only was it showing Gary over here starting to do where he was getting ready to find the golden object, but I wanted to show this picture simply because it also shows you how close they are getting to Nolan's little peninsula that he had made into the swamp. And that right behind there, this area right here sticking out is Nolan's little road that comes out into the swamp that he had created. And as I was showing from last week, they started over where the actual road bed is that they found, and then they started working towards the west, the north, and northwest of there. And they were digging up into the ground. Well, they didn't see anything. They saw where the road, the paved roadway went up into the uplands and then stopped. They didn't have any more. There was no more stone up there, no more paved roadway. So they started working their way to the northwest, heading towards Nolan's Peninsula. So they are going quite a ways over. Now we know that there was some tree roots. They got a lot of roots and stuff they're digging up over here as well. And they did cut down several trees to clear this area a little bit. But this is where they're starting to find these logs. And I wanted to show this picture simply as a so you can help relate to how far they're getting over there towards to the northwest, heading over there. And of course, then the big smiles on their faces. And Gary, like Rick was saying, Gary is so animated, as we well know. And don't you? I mean, we all kind of get a rise when Gary says, "Ooh," I know I do. But every time he does that, you're like, and then look at Rick's face. Rick said the same thing. He says, I look at his face when he's down there with his pinpointer, and I watch his face to see what his reaction is. And can you imagine being there and helping him dig those holes when he finds something, and you see the expression on his face? I mean, you get excited just because he's excited. That would be I'd love to. That's another one. We'd love to get Gary on someday and talk to him. And
I'd like to get Dr. Spooner on too,
and
because I
Dr.
think he was,
Spooner would be fun too. Yep. But
because I know he was really concerned. He had the road,
mhm,
but he wanted to find another structure or some more artifacts that would tell
mhm.
him more
Yeah.
what was going on, because he could only take it so far.
Yep.
And he had like three or four of them trying to clear off that road to see if he could find anything
Hmm.
underneath.
Yep. And even Aaron said when he was over there, he goes, "It doesn't get any better than this." And I'm thinking he's
I
getting all
hope.
excited about that roadway. And I am too, because, obviously it means something. Now, whether or not that roadway dates back far enough to take us back to, I don't think it goes back far enough to take us to the Templar area, even though the other one up north of Nolan's little peninsula there, that paved roadway, I think they dated that at 1220.
1220.
1220. So that one did go that far. Maybe this one does too. Maybe it really does. But how are they going to be able to date it? They're going to have to get a piece of that wood that's underneath it. Remember when they said it was supported? They had wood down there
Put
first,
down there in the rocks on top.
and then the rocks on top of it. So they're going to have to get a piece of that wood that's underneath there, cut that piece of wood, and get it dated, which I hope they do. You would think that they would. It's a logical step.
Because you look at the dates, 1220, 1270. I mean, there's no connection. There's no connections right now.
Mm-mm. And that swamp, that roadway being made around 1220, goes back again to that era back in the 1300s, which they're looking at the wood that was burned up in the mound area. I'm not going to call it Serpent Mound anymore. I'm going to call it the mound area, the spoils pile. But that wood, that charcoal that they dated at 1320, that takes you back into that old dating again of 1200s, 1300s.
Because that would be Templar, because 1307 is when they had to flee France.
Right. So with that, yeah, I won't even speculate who could have done that in 1220, unless they had made their way across there before. I don't know.
The only thing when I looked up the Mariah thing, I wondered because Gresham said the Vikings had been to Oak Island and that the Templars, they told the Templars. I wonder if they went there to scope it out and then came back and then went back.
Could very well be. Yeah, could very well be. And there's no reason why they wouldn't. I mean, they were going to be, they were looking for places to take some of their treasure and hide it anyway, get it away from there. So there's no reason why they wouldn't have gone over that way.
I mean, for theory's sake, I'll throw it out there for a theory. If you leave in 1307 with a whole bunch of treasure boats, are you going to go to Scotland for a long time with all that treasure there? And maybe it gets taken away there. Or are you going to get up and go?
Right, right. You're going to find somewhere else to go with it, in my opinion. And that's when Sinclairs and stuff were involved in
Right.
that too. And I think that I agree with you. I would definitely not stay there because you're still very close to where you could be found, even though you are in a different country now. But they're trying to keep those ties. But yeah, you're gonna be heading somewhere else with it. And I honestly, I am a true believer in that. And I mentioned it before when we had Team Templar North America here a couple of Saturdays ago, and they're coming back again this coming Saturday to talk some more. But I'm on board with them that the Knights Templar came over and came to Nova Scotia from Scotland, and and it would have been maybe a little bit before, as you said, scoping the area out prior to 1307, but definitely after 1307, they definitely came back over there,
Right.
and that's where I'm getting that 1320. If that's date is it's 1320 to 1440s, but 1320, now you're getting in that time frame when they would have come over.
Right.
That's
Left Scotland to come over
13,
here.
13 years from when all heck broke loose over there on Friday the 13th in 1307. 13 years later, they've already been here. They've already arrived in Nova Scotia and started doing whatever it is that they're doing. So I think that all makes total
And,
sense.
and if you ask me, I think the Templars came in from the back by the swamp, and whoever came in from the front was later on. It's almost like it was two different nations.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I agree. Marilyn's asking, she said, have you guys ever visited Oak Island or is it restricted just to exploration crew? No, Oak Island is actually, I had every intention of being there to buy tickets and go there last year. Of course, COVID came along, but I tell you what, when that ticket window opened, every ticket for all the tours were sold out within like an hour and a half. So, and then of course COVID happened, and then everything got shut down, and nobody was able to go over there at that point. But the island is open for tours.
But they have not made up their mind about this year yet. I read that they
Right.
are still,
Yeah,
and
I don't know that they had any tours last year. They might have had some after things got opened up a little bit. I don't know. I didn't hear anybody talking about being over there for tours, but it is open for tours, or it would be if not for COVID. It would be open right now. Where everything's shut down again, unfortunately. But nobody can even go over there at the moment. But yeah, it is open, and I've not been there. I had every intention of going last year and didn't make it. And then this summer, I want to go out and take Tony's Salty Dog Sea Tours and do a sea tour with Tony this year. So that's my intention. I'm just waiting to see what's going to happen with COVID if we're going to be allowed to go over there. So, but yeah, Maryland, if you get a chance to go, yeah, take one of those tours
oh,
and get over there.
I would love to take one of those tours.
Yep. And Linda actually answered her question. The tours are done through Friends of Oak Island, uh, tours, where there is when there is no COVID issue. Yes, the tickets sell out. Yeah, very quickly. They do. They sell out very fast for every weekend that's available on there. Don Wagger says you might be able to get Gary on while you're at the Mug and Anchor. Yeah, see, that was my plan. That's my plan, is to go on Tony's Salty Dog Sea Tours. And then I told Tony I'd buy him a pint at the Mug and Anchor, and we'll go over and have a pint. And then while we're there, I'm going to have a laptop, and I'm going to do a live show right there from the Mug and Anchor, providing that their internet can handle it. But that's my intention, and I still want to do that this summer. and I'll do a live show from the Mug and Anchor. So I'm telling anybody, I'll let you know when I got it booked and everything, and hopefully COVID will stay away so we can do this. And I'm saying I can't pay your way, but whoever wants to go, you're welcome to come on and let's do it. Let's all show up at the Mug and Anchor, and maybe I'll buy a round. So, oh, see, there's Tony says I will have the beer ready, Jeff. All right.
Oh,
I said the first round's on me, Tony, and then after that, yeah, you can you can buy a round, but then we're gonna do a live show from right there. So, yep. Let's see.
that would
Uh,
be a good show for all three of us to be together.
mhm. Yep, yep. And let's see. And you got to check out Tony's site if you get an opportunity to go out to Tony's site. Salty Dog Sea Tours. Go out to his site, check it out. He's got some merch on sale there too now, and we're gonna have Tony on the show. I haven't booked a date with him yet, but we're gonna have him come on the show so we can hear some of the fantastic stories that he has to talk about. Yeah, we'll get that done, Tony. We'll get that done, and we'll get you on the show here.
Especially the dives and everything else.
I know, and
Yeah.
there's so much I want to ask you, and I know there's probably so much you can't talk about, but I so want to know so much more about what's on the other side of the road of the swamp when you dove that area and you went around and looked around over there, and you found the rocks laid out and that kind of stuff. Man, I don't know what you can talk about because of it hasn't completely aired, or maybe not, but I really want to talk to you about that stuff if you can. Let's see. The tours Tony says tours of the island are offered on weekends in a normal tourist year. Hopefully, we'll get another normal tourist year coming up. Marilyn says Gary is optimistic and great with his metal detector. He also good at predicting dates. Yeah, he is. He is very good at that. He's been doing this a long, long, long time. If you've been to his website or checked out any of his books and stuff, Gary has been metal detecting for almost all of his life. So he is very, very good at it. And he knows what he's talking about when he finds stuff. Yeah, no, Tom said no tours last year, I think. Yeah, the island was closed.
Right.
Linda saying the island is closed and was all of 2020. No tours happened last year. Thank you, Linda. I didn't think so, but I wasn't sure.
I thought so because when they were doing the calendars, or that's what I thought they said.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and they will decide mid-spring if they are doing tours this year. May not happen. I hope I can get over there because I really want to go on Tony's boat and take that tour, the sea tours, and see around out there because he takes you all around Mahone Bay and stuff in that area. I just really, really want to do that. And see that stuff. And I don't know, I want to be able to get on the island too, but that may not happen because, like I said, those tickets sell out so fast. And I'm sure that Tony's boat tours, sea tours tickets sell out pretty fast now too, because that's become very popular. Let's see. Yeah, no tours to see. Let's see. Marilyn says, well, I hope they go one day. Salty Dog Sea Tours. Absolutely. Let's go. I'll let you know when I get it booked. I'll let you know when. And whoever wants to come along, let's go. Let's see. Well, let's see. I hope so. And I got to take Linda. We got to take Linda with us, and Jack hopefully can get out.
Yeah. Get away from my daughters. I'll be all right.
Yo, Don Brent says I'm in if it happens. All right, Don. Let's see. Like I said, I will definitely let everybody know when I book it. Let's see, because that would be so cool, especially we get to chat with you guys every week on here, and it's I just feel like all the names that I see on here of the people that come on the show every week, it would be so fun to meet all you guys in person. It really would, and to hang out with you. And like I said, I'll buy around, unless there's 100 of us, that might get kind of pricey, but I'll buy around.
It's like with the three of us. We've never met.
Yeah. Oh boy, it could get kind of pricey there. Marilyn says I'll bring a vino glass. Let's see. Anne Marie says I hope so for this summer to do it with you. I know, like I said, it'd be great. It'd be so cool to meet all you guys. Yep. Oh, Tom Burns says you can pick me up on the way by. All right, Tom, we can do that. Me too, Wanda says. All right. If you're going by the UK, I'll be ready. That's Joe. Yeah, that might be a hard trip to get over to pick you up, Joe, over there.
Somebody made it in 2019. I don't know. Can you see it right there, Jeff?
The what? I'm sorry.
They said that was a great tour. It was a
That
great
was Anne
tour.
Marie. Anne Marie says that's a great tour. I have I made it. I guess made it in 2019. So Anne Marie, you were over there in 2019? I'm jealous because I tell you, I've watched some. We had some of the video I've seen of some of the people that have taken the tour, um, and Charles Barkhouse, talking and stuff and taking everybody around. That would be really. I I would love that. I would really really love to go and step foot on Oak Island. Um, and then hopefully not get in trouble when I take a little stone and put it in my pocket so I could have a piece of Oak Island with it. We were bidding on stuff when they had that auction, and I was bidding on the samples, the little jars of plastic jars of the samples and stuff. And I missed out on all. I didn't get one. I kept waiting for the last minute to bid too, and I missed out on that. But that'd be so cool to have some of that. I could put it on my little shelf back here. Deborah says, I wish I could go. Beer is not cheap here. Fair warning. Really? Uh-oh. What's the Tom? What's the main? I'm not a huge beer drinker, but I do like a little bit. What's the main beer that people like to drink up there? I know when I was in Australia many, many, many years ago, it was Swan beer. A lot of people drink Swan beer. That was
When I
pretty
was
good.
in Canada, it was Molson or Earl Black.
Molson? Yeah, I've had Molsons. Molsons, yep. Oh, Janet's here. Janet says, "Hi guys, came in late. Hi Janet, glad you made it." Um, Linda says, "I'm good with your show." So Linda's gonna. I'm good for yours, Tom. Let's see. Uh, let's see. Janet says you will get in trouble only if it's a little gold stone.
Goldstone.
Keith's in Nova Scotia. So Keith's. Oh, Keith's beer. Is that what do you think, Tony? Is that what you drink too? Is Keith's? I didn't know there was a Keith's beer.
I
I've
didn't
never
know
been to
either.
Nova Scotia. So, all right. Well, I'll have to try out a Keith's. That sounds great. I'm so looking. I know we're already in 2021. It's only January, but man, time is running. We gotta. If I'm gonna do it, I gotta get those booked. Matter of fact, I'm gonna look at that tomorrow and see if I can get that. I started to book a ticket for the summer in July. That was my plan, was to go somewhere around in July because I want it to be warm. I need it to be warm. And here's the object. So here's the thing they found. Now they never showed us the bottom side of this thing when they were doing the shows, the previews, the promo. We never saw the bottom side of it because that would have been the dead giveaway to know that it was hollow, which I kind of figured it was some sort of a locket or something or whatnot. But I never dreamed of it until I saw the bottom. Then I knew right away that it was hollow. And as soon as I saw that bottom, I'm like, oh, that's a knob. That's a knob, a drawer knob or a cabinet door knob, or the Sandy Campbell saying something about it being a knob for opening a chest or something. So that's a shot of it there. And then there's
It was
more.
brass too. It wasn't gold.
Yeah, yep. Oh man, there's some more chat going by here. Let's see. Pam Block says, "Ugh, we need a drink over the gold thingamajig. Yeah, the gold thingamajig. Yeah, we do. We really do. And there's the pictures of it right there, Pam. May says, not much of a multitasker. I can talk a lot through. If you get, whoop, it just jumped on me. If you get to see Rick in person, please tell him Eva Barnett says hello." Okay. All right. If I ever get to talk to Rick, I know that'd be awesome. I've heard Rick is just a really nice guy. Let's see. Tony says, lots of awesome craft breweries up here this way. Hell Bay is my favorite, or fave. Hell Bay.
Oh, man.
I'm gonna have to remember that name. Hell Bay. All right. Hell Bay. We're gonna have to try it. Oh, we'll have to try a few. Let's see. Marilyn says, I'm a rock hound too. I surely don't need any more rocks, but I hope to head out to Nova Scotia soon. How far is Oak Island from there? It is cold there. Is it cold there in the summer? No, it looks like it gets pretty warm. I think it's about the same latitude as where I'm from in the UP of Michigan. I think it's roughly about the same latitude because I'm way up from right up by Canada, by Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Canada is where I'm originally from. And the summers get hot. They do. They get hot. They get up in the 80s, and sometimes you get 90s up there too. But it's not muggy. Generally, it's not muggy like it would be down in the southern states. So it does get hot though, and cold in the winter. Real
Oh,
cold.
cold
So,
early too, because around Labor Day you can get freezing temperatures there too.
mhm. The coldest I've ever seen that I've ever experienced in the UP of Michigan, living up there, I was about 19 years old, 18 years old, somewhere around in there. And it wasn't wind chill. It was straight cold temperature was 53 below zero. That's the coldest I've ever experienced that I know of was 53 below zero. And that was cold. Your my nose hairs and my mustache, everything was just freezing up instantly. I mean, it was my rubber boots were creaking. Let's see. Yeah, Oak Island, Nova Scotia is hot in the summertime. That's Linda. Let's see. Sharon says, I thought it looked more gold at first. I did too. And I still, he said it was brass, but I don't know. A jewelry box knob. Yeah, could be. And isn't that weird? It broke off, and for it to end up where it was, and this was heading northwest over towards the when they were scraping off that area over toward the northwest where they were finding those logs that they think had something to do with the dock. That's where they found this, and he said it was 3 to 4 feet down under the muck, under that swampy layer that they dug this up, where those logs were, and those logs were down there too. So maybe somebody was hauling I thought it was like a knob off of a cabinet door.
Right.
Now, why would they be hauling a cabinet over there? Why would that? I can see a chest or a jewelry box or something like that. Somebody was carrying it, maybe dropped it, the handle broke off, and they just went back and they threw it. They just tossed it and it landed over in the muck and it stayed there all these years until they found it there. I mean, why else would that thing be there? I mean, if it was off of a chest or a jewelry box or whatever, why in the heck would it be there? I just don't get that. I don't understand why it would be there. Let's see. TV Magic. Good PR on the show's part. Great for ratings. Yeah, I know. I definitely know that, Tom. It definitely did. And it all kept us going to know what the heck that thing was. Let's see here. Yep. Good. Yep. Jewelry box drawer. Let's see. I've got, Janet says she's got a Rick Rock necklace. So cool. He did a great job. I would like to have one of those. I actually wanted to buy one for my mom. Never got that chance. Let's see. All that hype from a little doorknob. So annoying. I know. But they got to do that. I mean, really, I think about that. They do that kind of stuff on purpose, obviously, to get us hyped up about it. But it's still kind of significant. I'd like to see this thing dated. I'd like to know more about this. And I'm assuming they will. Don't you think so, Jack?
Yeah, he just gave it a once over. They didn't really dig into it too much or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he cleaned it up a little bit. He talked a little bit about it, and that was it.
Right. Yep. Yeah. When they turned the gold knob over, I thought it was the top of a cane.
Oh, that could be.
Wow, that's true. That's an interesting thought. I never thought about that. I thought it was
No,
off
I didn't
the
either.
top.
So they
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah, if it were a huge gold thing, it would have been the last item in the last. Yeah, if it would have truly been a gold thing, it would have been on the very last show of the season, the 2-hour season finale. That's where they would have shown it. But yeah, that's you're right. Yeah, so if it does turn out to be just brass, still a very significant find though. But I want to see it dated. I want them to get that
I
thing
do too
dated.
because it's in such good shape from being down in that muck and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Preserved it.
Yep. May says I was watching. I was watching last night's show while listening to you, so I was content to listen. Well, I know I came on last night to test the software out a little bit, and I didn't want to because I know if you're like me, you're watching some of the reruns, maybe not intently like you would the new episode, but you're watching some of the reruns. I have them on anyway, and I'm doing stuff around the house and get prepared. I'm actually getting prepared to get my notes together for the show, but I didn't want to disturb everybody, but I did want to jump on and test the software and make sure it was connecting to the other platforms pretty well. So, and I apologize for that if I disturbed anybody with that. But that's the only way I could really test it, was to actually go live and really find out if it was working. So I apologize. Let's see. Sharon says, I think at my son's architectural salvage business, I bet I've seen hundreds of those brass door or cabinet knobs. That's what I thought, a cabinet knob, when I saw it. So that does look familiar to you, Sharon, as a brass cabinet knob or doorknob of some sort. Obviously not one that would turn, I don't think, because it was pretty small for that, but definitely
Good pull.
just a pull. Yeah, a pull knob. Um, Linda says, I thought it was so cool that they found that knob, not annoying in the least for me. The only thing I think about being annoying is that they didn't really, they let us, well, I shouldn't say that. They didn't lead us to believe it was gold. They didn't really say, but they did show it several times, and they never showed the bottom. But that was the hype. And you're right. It wasn't, they never said it was gold.
No, and they did that from the beginning of the year till now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they learned their lesson with another show that the Civil War gold, when they had those bricks down there underwater. Let's see. Janet was responding to Linda. She said if it was on the top of a cane, it would be so impressed. I would be so impressed. That's neat. That's a very interesting thought, Linda. I'm very that would be neat, and that would make it more. Well, I don't know. Would it make it more significant? I don't know. Interesting, especially if they could find some kind of a. They didn't see any kind of writing or anything on it, or any kind of markings on it.
But I'm like you. I want to know what the date is.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I really do. And have them actually analyze that. Like that one guy who was analyzing the lead and was able to tell what, basically almost down to the quarry that it came from. Over in France. So if they could get that much information out of this thing, that would be pretty wild. But I really do. I'm like you, Jack. I want to know more about it and the metal and where it may have come from.
I would have Christian Bassard if they said it to her, and she's read some stuff like that before for him.
Mm-hmm. Pam Block brings up a good point. Said it could have washed up over hundreds of years. You're right, and it could have definitely been pushed by hurricane force winds into the area that it's in. It could have been dropped somewhere else and been just pushed over there in the swamp water and ended up settling right where they found it. That's interesting. Jenny says on the YouTube side, she says, would it be funny if it was a tip of a peg leg? Oh, that would be funny. Maybe a little soft for that, but yeah, that would be interesting. A peg leg. That's neat. Never thought of that either. At the bottom of a peg leg. Let's see. Linda says, yeah, that was my first thought. Let's see. Then this knob must be very, very old. Yeah, I think it is, Anne Marie. I think it is old, and I want to know. I want to know I hope they get it dated soon, because I want to know just how old it is. Hopefully they won't just drop the issue like they do sometimes with stuff. I want to know. I want to know where that, if they can find out where it came from. I don't know if they can tell,
or whatever.
Yeah, if they could kind of get some information about that, or at least get us a good date. Let's see here. Sandy is not the expert in those objects. I don't know. I don't think he is oh yeah, Sandy is not a big expert on these things. You're right. He's a numismatist, right? Am I saying that right? Numismatist. He's a numismatist. He deals in coins and things, doesn't he? I think that's what that means. Or is that? Yeah, let's go with that.
That sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds good. I was just wondering that, because I was wondering if he was the one that was up there when they had the coins up there and everything a couple of years ago.
That's interesting. Jan says, would it be neat if it was a pommel? Boy, we got all kinds of speculation coming. That's why I love you guys, because we get a lot of good ideas here of what this thing could really be. And I was thinking, that made me think about when now it's the wrong shape for it. I mean, it really is the right shape for a cabinet knob or something like that. And you could see where it could definitely have broken off, and then whoever had it just pitched it. But a pommel of something, or even a part of a decorative piece on I was thinking on like a wagon, those pieces. I don't know. That's probably not. It's the wrong shape for that. It's definitely shaped like a knob for a doorknob or something, cabinet doorknob. Let's see. Unless you can't
Wait,
find it.
did the knob have a dent in it? I can't really tell from that picture.
Yeah, on the other side it did. It definitely had a dent on the top of it. It does look familiar. Let's see. Drawer or cabinet handle makes sense. Yep, I agree, Tom. I'm thinking it's more of a cabinet door or it's almost too big for a drawer. I'm thinking more of a cabinet door or maybe a small, like a small door that would be, where you would small closet door or something like that. But it would have been definitely would have not been, in the crew quarters would have been a wooden one or something like that, or maybe ivory even would have been expensive at that time. So this would have definitely been in the captain, at the captain's quarters or something, making it more, elegant for the captain. Um, let's see. Oh, Kathy says never disturbing. Always love listening to the conversation, and that's I like to spend. That's why I like to spend so much time with the chat, because it's like Jack and I and Linda being able to have such just a wonderful conversation with you guys about the show, and that's what makes it so much fun. Because I don't want to just sit up here and talk about last night's show over and over. We all watched it, and I watched it a couple of times, but being able to discuss it with you guys and come up with these ideas like that's what makes this so much fun. Um, Janet says
Why?
Gary knows the gold. Gary knows what gold looks like, and he wasn't doing the gold dance. So yeah, you're right. He wasn't. So he wasn't absolutely sure.
Wanda says swamp is great for preservation. She's right about that.
It is. Oh, it has. I mean, it's preserved wood, steel, this, brass thing, brass knob. I mean, it does. And that's weird, isn't it? How the composition of the mud and the water, and it's a little brackish water and all that is just, it preserves things so very well. You're absolutely right. And you're right. Gary he didn't do the dance. So he must not have been sure. He said it looked like gold, but he wasn't sure. And like Sandy Campbell had said, it didn't have the weight. If it was truly gold, 10 carat, I think he was talking about 10 carat, it would have been heavier than it was. Even though it is heavy, it would have been heavier than it was, or than it is.
I mean, he didn't put it in the top pocket. I had
Yeah,
a
yeah, he
feeling.
didn't put it in the top pocket. Yep, you're right. Linda says every now and then I have an interesting thought. Just saying, you have a lot of interesting thoughts, Linda.
Yes.
You keep us lined right up. Let's see. Sharon says often I wonder what may come from the sea. Yeah, and you're right. That road was not there back then. That was all, when the tide came in and the hurricane winds or whatever was blowing, it was blowing right up into that area. Um, and if it was two islands at one time, there would have been a lot of water, deeper water in that area. So
Well, look how much water they had that swamp drain, and they had that tropical storm come through. Was it what, last year or 2 years ago? And
mhm.
how fast it filled it right back up again, and they had to
Yeah, it
redrain
sure
the
did.
whole
Yeah,
thing.
it came right over that road and filled it right back up. Yeah, it sure did. Let's see. Yeah, I know. Pam says, I hope it's not from 1950s. I know. I'm so with you on that, man. If they have that thing dated, they're like, oh yeah, so yeah, 1939.
Like that coin Gary had the other day, or like a couple
Yeah,
weeks
the
ago.
1919 coin that he found,
Yeah,
like mine. Yeah, like my coin here. Mine's older than his is. Let's see. Let's see. To be 3 feet down, it had to have been there for a while. You're right, Tom. Yeah, it was 3 to 4 feet down, so it did have to be there for a while. It wasn't heavy enough to sink down through all that mud that quickly. So yeah, it had to be there for a while. Did the knob have a dent in it? Yes, it did. on the other side of it, and I don't think I have a picture of the other side of it, but it did definitely have a dent in it, for sure. Um, let's see, same clothes as when Sandy looked at the Chinese coin. I think they had both items at the same time and took them to him on the same day while he was there. He cleaned it and could have identified the metal. Perhaps needs to go to Doctor.
That's what I said. So
Brousseau. Thank you. You've remembered better than I did. Brousseau. Yeah. Um, could it
she
be? Could it
she
be
seems to
a
come
piece
up
of
with
the
a
ark?
lot of things.
A piece of the ark of the covenant, or
Okay.
as Deidre said, the ark, the Noah's ark that was found. That's what the 200-foot anomaly is in the in the
Oh,
swamp. It's Noah's ark.
oh, oh, wow.
That was a joke. They were laughing about it. She
I
didn't really
know.
mean it like that, but it came out and it was so funny. I was laughing so hard. That was on their show when they do
They,
their live
they,
stream.
they rip me up
That
sometimes.
was so funny. I was laughing so hard, and then Dustin wouldn't leave it alone. He kept saying it. The ark, Noah's ark. Oh, that was hilarious. Preserved well, yeah. Don says preserved well. Mercury, by the mercury they used. Mercury and arsenic, and Rick drank the. I know. Well, he
I
didn't.
know.
He didn't actually drink it. He put it in his mouth and he swished it around and spit it out. But still, I don't.
I couldn't do that.
Oh,
Sorry.
and knowing how bad the swamp stinks, I haven't been there to smell it, but they talk about it. I've smelled other swamps, the cedar swamps up in Michigan, and they smell. I can only imagine. Yeah, Deidre, Noah's Ark. There it is. Yep, Noah's Ark. Yeah, the water he drank, yeah, was the water Rick drank was much older. Yeah, he didn't swallow it. He just wished it around in his mouth and he spit it out. Something I wanted to say right here. I've come up with a new name for Laird Niven. I might have to say this to him when we have him on. Laird and Stephen Guptill are coming on the show, and they're coming on the show with me, and that is on the 13th of February. And I've got a new name for Laird. I'm going to start calling him Bob because he is Bob, the Buster of Balloons. When he walked up here and he took that, he says, "Well, I always seem to burst people's balloons," and he's like, "It's not gold, or whatever." He was, he's right when he first walked up, he said that. He's looking at it and he's kind of glanced up at him. So he's Bob now, the Buster of Balloons. He did that to Stephen Guptill. Remember when Stephen was over at the wash table and Stephen found that piece of leather? And I still think, Steve, I don't know if I don't know if you're watching tonight, but if you with that piece of leather you found, it's still significant, regardless of whether or not it was, a piece of a shoe or something that, it kind of looked like bookbinding to me. I would have been, but Stephen did say when he found it, he said, "Oh, well, I'm no archaeologist or anything, but," so he did qualify it with that. But Laird came right over and said, "Yeah, it's just a piece of a shoe," and it was like, doo-doo-doo. Oh man.
Downer.
No. Let's see. Yeah, preservation. Yep. Let's see. Yep. Lead. No. Yeah. Let's see. Rick drink. Yep. Let's see. I'm trying to get down here to the. Oh, here we go. May says I have that scene on my phone, and I live it. Let's see. Laird doesn't beat around the bush. No, he doesn't beat around the bush. And that's why he's the Buster of Balloons, because he'll just come right in and go, "Yeah, that's not what this is."
It's amazing how many people, archaeologists they have, and they've been busy this year.
Oh, they really have, and I'm glad they brought him on. They got 4 of them on the island now.
Right.
You got Liz and Miriam and Aaron, Dr. Taylor there, and Laird.
Lisa.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, poor Steve Laird, the crusher of dreams, crushing his dreams. Yeah, he sure did, didn't he? That was funny, and I almost don't want to bring it up when I have Steve and Laird on the show. It may come out, but I don't know. I don't want to put him on the spot like that too much, but I think those guys are going to be hilarious on the show, to be quite honest. I cannot wait for that show. I'm so looking forward to that. Anyway, so there's there's Bob, the Buster of Balloons, coming over. And then they take it over, and here's Sandy Campbell. They take it over to the center over there where they test all these things and look at it. And then you see that book. Yeah, you're talking about that book. Is that a book of coins right there on the table? I don't know, maybe. But he puts it in the ultrasonic cleaner, um, and starts working on it. So I wanted to grab that picture there real quick. And then there he is taking a closer look at it after they've done some cleaning on it. And he's making this determination of it. And there it is inside those. And we've got one of those at my work, and we use those things, and it really does. They work great. They just, the way it vibrates the water around and it breaks up the dirt and gets it all off of there. So it's a really nice way of cleaning up stuff that so it doesn't damage it by brushing action or wiping action or anything like that. It doesn't tear it up. Deidre tells me bring it up. They can take it. All right, I may bring it up. I don't know. Oh, Laird was to Wendy. Laird was the Wendy to Peter Pan and the Lost Boys to keep them down on the ground. Yeah, I know, to keep them grounded. You're right. He does. Yep. Yeah, I love that cleaner. I know we have one at work too, and like I said, it works really well. It's a nice thing to have. Tom Burns says Steve and Laird should be wealth of information for historical content. You're right, they should. And I don't know how much, they can talk about anything that's already aired, I'm assuming, which is the way most of the NDAs work. They can talk about stuff that's already aired. So we'll just be careful with them and not get too crazy about some of the things that we ask them about. And if we stumble onto something that they can't talk about, then they won't. It's fishy too. Jenny over on the YouTube site says COD no longer means cash on, or COD no longer means cash on delivery. It now is being changed to the Crusher of Dreams. COD. He's COD, the Crusher of Dreams. Yeah,
I like that.
Yep, I like that too.
Somebody was when he put it in a cleaner, I thought it would dissolve into nothing.
Yeah, that was Pam said that. She thought it would dissolve right into nothing, and all of a sudden it's just a blob of stuff underneath the screen there in the bottom. The Crusher of Dreams. That's funny. A lot depends on the fluid you use in the unit. Yeah, that's what Tony says. It depends on the fluid you use in the unit. Yeah, exactly. And he just, it looked like just a jug of plain water, which is what we use. But you can put solvents in there, and the solvents will do some damage to some stuff. So you have to be very careful with that. But you can use solvents, and it does help when that vibration action. It does help to get stuff cleaned off that really may be hard on a product or something over many, many years. What happened to Daniel McGinnis? I don't know. I know that he stayed up in the area for a long time. He came up from, if I remember correctly, it was North Carolina. He came up there about the same time Samuel Ball did. But I had done some research on that. I was working more on Samuel Ball on the research that I had done, rather than doing more of it on to the Daniel McGinnis. But I don't know if they stayed in that area. They settled in that area and stayed up there. Let's see. Marilyn was responding. Muriatic acid, maybe. That could eat into concrete. Yes, they use it for muriatic acid. They're used for cleaning concrete, or we used to do that. I use it for cleaning concrete. But still, it's a mild acid, but still an acid nonetheless. Yeah, his area. Oh, I'm not sure what Linda was replying to May. Something about he's not on right now. His area was the pine tar kiln. Oh, I missed something. Oh! You're talking about the other McGinnis, the other archaeologist that came on. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Yep, I'm sorry. I understood what you were talking about, May. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, that was the other McGinnis, who is the descendant of Daniel McGinnis. Dave McGinnis? Was it Dave?
Dave, I believe. It was fifth generation, if I remember too.
Yeah, fifth generation down. Yeah. His area was the pine tar kiln, and we haven't seen him back. That's very true. I had forgotten that. Yeah.
They haven't gone through that either real well.
The what's that?
They haven't gone through the McGinnis thing real well either.
Nope. So then I grabbed this picture here too. Now this is back in the swamp, and I am jumping around a little bit, but there's back in the swamp. We're about ready to wrap this up, but I just grabbed this picture because of this. Look at it. I mean, look at this monster thing. Now I don't know if this is that new metal detector that he brought out that had the big, like pipe on the end of it. And that was in the original. I think that was that in the season premiere. But look at the size of the scanning thing on the bottom of this thing. And he never talked about. I never seen this particular end on it before. But look at the size of that thing. You would think that thing could look down, uh,
That's two or
quite a
three
few
times.
feet.
That's 2 or 3 times bigger than what he normally has on the thing.
Yeah,
Easily.
it sure is. It sure is. Yeah, I just had to grab that picture because I thought, man, that's really cool. And then when Rick came out there and he said, he asked him if he had been working the area, and he said, yeah. And he said all the orange tags were his. And he said, well, do you want to start digging them up? Yeah, huge coil on that detector. Yeah, yeah, it is giant. It's really amazing how big that thing is.
I wonder if it goes deeper because of that. Just
Maybe, yeah. He didn't talk about it at all to say, exactly what it did, but the thing was giant. But I don't know what the specialty behind it is. Is it go deeper? Is it, but you'd think that you can't pinpoint with that thing. I don't know. That seems kind of hard that you wouldn't be able to pinpoint with it. But he had many orange tags. Then of course they found a hit there, and then of course Rick jumps over there and starts digging, and that's when they found the piece of wood that had they found the piece of wood that had the spike through it. Tom Burns said, yeah, he noticed that too. He said the battery storage on that thing. Yeah, I'm going to jump back in just a little bit. Look at the size of the battery on the thing right there. My goodness. That would be the battery right there. I don't know what else that would be because most of the detector, part of it's up here. That thing's huge. Let's see. Janet says that new detector that they made a big deal about, I've only seen him use it once in the first episode, the one that clucks like a chicken. Yeah. Yeah. And it had that pipe looking end on it. It was supposed to look real deep or something. Yeah. And he hadn't had that particular. No, he did say that it had different ends. And that's why I was wondering if this was it with just a different detector on the bottom. I don't know. Could be. Let's see here. I was cooking and listening, almost burned my potatoes. That's Wanda. Marilyn says, my boyfriend looked up the price of that metal detector. Gary said he uses it, and it ain't cheap. I can only imagine. I mean, the regular one that Gary uses most of the time, that one's not cheap either. I mean, I've got one back here in the corner. Now that's not a very expensive one back there that I use, but it's nothing compared to these. I can grant you that. That's just a little hobby one back there.
Somebody said it'll be awkward to handle. I can believe that too.
It would be. That's why he's got you see the harness. He's wearing a shoulder harness to hold the thing up. Because you walk around after that's like using a leaf blower. You got those big leaf blowers that the guys use, and you're doing a whole property. The landscapers are using. You're doing a whole property. That thing is going to wear you out in no time at all. So you have to have a harness on, just like he's wearing there to hold this thing up. Yeah, it looks like it's awkward to handle. Yep. Oh, the one from episode 1. Linda says that was a lender. Maybe it was. I thought maybe he had bought it. Some of them are $6,000 or more. Yeah, they're not cheap. That's for sure. Definitely not cheap. But I had to grab that picture because I just thought, look at the size of that thing. It's got to be right. And then of course, there they are digging, and they found that weed eater metal detector. Yeah, that's what it looks like. There's a shot of one of the pieces of wood there that they were messing with. Let's see. Oh, and here's one showing that spike sticking out of it. Now, I wanted to ask you guys. Now they were talking about these pieces of wood that they dug up, or this piece of wood with the spike sticking out of it. Here's a better picture here with that spike sticking out of it. I'm assuming that they're right. What do you guys think about that? Is it more that this is part of a dock? When I saw this initially, I was thinking about maybe part of a ship's mast or something, but then they started talking about the dock, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes more sense. And these big spikes that they have on here would have been used to pound through there and hold these logs together. That makes more sense, I guess, than it being. I wanted it. I was thinking, man, that would be great if that was some kind of a part of a ship. And I think Gary mentioned that initially, but he kind of backed away from that and didn't. Yeah, it looks like cribbing. Yeah, you're right. It might be. I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking ship, but maybe that was just my wishful thinking that it was part of that ship that we say may be that anomaly. But it probably makes more sense that it's actually part of a dock. Um,
But which way does it go?
and I'll say, Linda says, gonna send Rick longer Navy T-shirts, maybe from Duluth Trading. There you go. Sharon said a ship, she thinks, and that's what I wish it was. I don't know. Janet says that log with the spikes looks like the one of those poles used to climb up a ladder. Oh, huh. Yeah, and that's what Wanda said. She was thinking part of a ship. Um, Chuck says May had several uses by different people. Could be, but I guess it does. When I saw this one picture, I grabbed a picture of this one here, and that's the last picture that I had to share. But this one here, I grabbed this one. I believe this is the same log, just looking at a different end of it. And you see this here. That what did that? As soon as I saw that, I was thinking Lincoln Logs. Remember Lincoln Logs? I mean, I'm old enough to remember Lincoln Logs. I don't know about you all, but I'm old enough to remember Lincoln Logs. I had some. I played with them, and they had that same kind of cutout, just like that, so that you could lay them together, and they would interlock with each other. That right there tends to make me believe that yes, it was part of a dock or some sort of a wooden structure, because that's what you would use to lock them together in a crisscross or in a corner piece, like
Right.
something like that. You would use that there. Now that's really a little wider than I originally thought it would be. That's almost spanning two logs, but you see how long that cutout is, that notch is right there. That's pretty significant. And that's where you would drive a spike down to tie it together with a. Somebody did commented about yes, Lincoln. Don said yes, Lincoln log. That's as soon as I saw this picture, I went, oh, that looks like a Lincoln log. So anyway, that's what I saw on that one. Was thinking about maybe it really is part of a dock or a slipway structure or something like that. But pretty neat though. But again, it's one of those things that's there. It's telling a story. I want to see that get dated. I'd love to see that metal get dated and see if they can, get that out of there and get a better look at it, which I think they probably will at some point. A big Lincoln log, a big
Yeah.
Lincoln log cabin, Chuck says. Yep.
They did a G. Steve did a GPS on that too.
Yeah, Steve did. And I'll have to
And
ask him
so
about that. Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
we know next week or
Mhm.
whenever, what direction are we moving?
Yep. Kathy says I've seen them like that on a dock. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm guessing that it has to be that. When I saw, I was really hoping it was part of a ship. But now that I see that notch like that and those spikes driven through it, even as a ship's mast, I was thinking it being part of a ship's mast and having a spike sticking out of it. But for using for hanging different kinds of rope rings and things like that on it. But that's what I was hoping for. It was just wishful thinking. I'm pretty sure that they're right about it being a part of a dock. Um, no, Linda's talking about the color of light blue or thought nice gray. I'm not sure she's referring to. Uh, um, hmm. Yeah,
It does look a little blue in the picture.
yeah, maybe so. And maybe that's that blue clay. Maybe there's some of that blue clay that's around that they were wiping off because there was some of that other clay that was on.
They had to scrape off, they had to scrape dirt off before they could start to
Mhm.
dig it out.
Some of that mud and muck. Yep. But so and that lends us back to that being some sort of a dock and a slipway and all that over there. And I want to see him get back to that other wooden structure that's over there in the way out in the southeast, very in the very tip of the southeast corner that they haven't talked about that again at all since they first Gary and the young lad originally found that Peter.
either.
They haven't gone back over there and looked at that again, or at least haven't talked to us about it. They obviously went over and dug around it some more, but they haven't talked about it since then. So I don't know. Um, now they're talking about his. Oh, they're talking about Rick. He
Or,
needs long teeth. Yeah. What picture? What is that? Oh, was that picture there? The one he was bending over there.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep. But anyway, so I guess that lends to believe that, but or believe that it was a dock. I guess might be parts of a ship used to build cribbing. It could be. They could have dismantled the big 200-foot anomaly. Could have been a ship, and they dismantled part of it, and they're using the wood for other stuff. You could be right. I mean, that's a pretty well shaped log there that they've got. That it seemed like it might have been used for something else at one time, and maybe they did salvage it from something else.
I'd
Hard
like
to
to know
say.
if it was from a ship. What part of the ship it came from, though? Because
Yeah.
that's awful big for.
Mhm. Yeah, it is. So we'll find out. Hopefully, they'll get some more answers about it coming up on the next episodes, I guess, next week. And I was going to grab some of that. We had the promo for next week, looking at a few things that they were doing, but I didn't get much information on that for us, unfortunately. Um, Yeah, who does their laundry? I don't know. They do. They get really muddy and dirty. And like we
Oh,
were saying about it earlier, Miriam and Liz and Aaron were down on their hands and knees digging around, and they were cleaning all the dirt off of the top of the paved roadway. And yeah, that's got to be that meticulous to get all that stuff off there. Because initially, when they had the excavator come in with Gary's trowel, and they were scraping that mud off. They got down to where they were really starting to disturb the rocks, so they stopped. And then they went back in after it dried up a little bit, and they're going in there very slowly and digging all that out to actually show the rocks. And it's clearly, I mean, they were saying that the evidence, it's clearly
a road.
a road. I mean, you can't really call it anything else.
When they
It's
were talking
definitely.
to Rick, when they were talking to Rick on the phone, and they had that upper shot where you were looking down,
Mhm.
you could tell it was a road.
Yep, and it really was. And why else would it be there? If you look at and I mentioned this last week, and I'm very well convinced that the combination of the Billy's trial, the combination of that that ridge weight is out, and it looks like a drop off or a ridge that goes out into the ocean on the other side of the road, and then coming in, you've got the what looks like a slipway, and then you've got the road. If you brought in a small boat on that slipway and then unloaded stuff into carts that were on that road and then started hauling it up the hill, either going one way or the other. Now, if it was pine tar kiln and they were doing pine tar and they were bringing it down and they were loading it onto the little boats and taking it out to the galleon that's out a little in deeper water, and then using that pine tar to seal up certain areas to do repair work on the galleon for another trip back across the ocean, that does make sense. Um, it definitely could have been if it was going that way. We all want to believe that it was going the other way, that they were taking treasure and merchant, nice stuff off of the galleon and taking it up to the money pit. That's what we want to believe. That's what I want to believe. Um, I don't know.
I don't know,
We'll find out.
there's a Facebook user here. I have just tickled me. They 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 just stand them up and hose them down at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yep. Get him over there with that fire hose that Jack was using. Get him over there by the fire hose and just hose him
Uh,
down.
let us fire hose.
Hmm. Yeah, Linda's fire hose that she loves so much, and they get over there on the wash table with that fire hose. Yep. Let's see. Mast or cross arm could be a large lumber. You're right. Tom said a mast or a cross arm. That would be more probably a cross arm size right there.
Yeah.
Um, but you're right. It could have been. I don't know. Hard to say. Um, yep. It's an ultrasonic cleaner for them to clean their clothes. Yeah, the big hose, the fire hose. Let's see. It's a road or a rock wharf. Yep. It has to be one of the two. I mean, it really has no other explanation that I can think of other than those for sure, Tom. They just stand up. They just stand them up and hose them down. Yep. They should get a laundry soap company and a washer dryer maker to be sponsors of the show. Yeah, that'd be great, wouldn't it? That would be a good one to find out what laundry detergent they use and let them be a sponsor. Why not? They
Yeah.
drive around in their vehicles, and those vehicles are when they show them, that was one of the trivia questions that I got that one right too. That was one of the ones I did get right. I had what I missed five. I think I had 15 out of 20 on the could it be Oak Island trivia night the other night, and I that was one of the questions was talking about that. What vehicle did Craig Tester drive up to the money pit in? What kind of vehicle was it? It was a Jeep. Yep, and I actually got that one right because I remember noticing that as he was driving up. Let's see. Yep, and take them down to the cleaners. Yeah, I don't know if a cleaner would be taking all that stuff. You'd have to hose all that mud off first before you stuck it. I wouldn't stick it in my washing machine with all that stuff on there. Yep. Okay. Oh, fire hose. Yeah, Linda says, "Grr, the fire hose." Yeah.
Yes.
All right, folks. Well, I'm about ready to wrap it up here and call it a night. We've been on for just shy of 2 hours. It's been a great time again, talking with you all tonight, and going back and forth. And as I've said a million times already, you're probably sick of hearing me say it, but I just enjoy this so much, and I know that Jack does too. To be able to come on here and talk to you guys and go back and forth with these ideas, and that's what's so cool about it. Is you guys have such wonderful ideas, and that's what's so much fun to be able to discuss with you. And I just love this part of it so much.
It's,
Uh,
it makes for the week. It makes for the show. It
yep,
really does.
it really does. It's the highlight. I mean, the show is. I love on Tuesday night to watch the show, and then I absolutely love coming on here on Wednesday night and talk to you guys about the show last night, and that's what's so much fun. Marilyn says, "Oh, that was a fun quiz," and she got the Jeep one right too. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I did. I picked that one out and I saw it. Sometimes, I did get lucky on some of the questions because I was watching to see what everybody else was saying. And if the majority was saying it was number four, then I jumped on board and said number four, and I happened to get it right too. So it's not really cheating, right? Okay. I was
Which,
guess. I was guessing.
which you might want to plug. Jeff's going to have on the Team Templar of North America
Yep.
Saturday at 2 o'clock. So
Yeah. This Saturday at 2 o'clock is part two, and I be a part three, but you never know. And it's going to be wonderful because I'm sorry, Wayne Murphy is going to take us into the cave and show us two other sites also of stones and things that they found in the woods there in Wisconsin to show that the Templars were there. So we're going to have again Sean Williamson and Wayne Murphy and Gretchen Cornwall are going to be on again on Saturday at 2 o'clock. We're going to be talking with them about part two and going deeper into their finds that they had. We'll probably run about 2 hours. It may run a little over because I'd like to try to get it all in if we can. So we don't have to do a part three, but there will be at some point, there will be a part three because this work that they are doing is ongoing. They are going to be going back out to the site again this summer. And I don't know, I think Gretchen's going to be there again. And I think Sean Williamson is trying to make plans, COVID
COVID,
providing.
I was wondering how COVID would affect it.
Yeah, we'll see how COVID works out this year. But I think he is looking to come over and actually check out this with him with his stonemason sculptor eye and look at it a little bit closer.
You date a lot of things that way about how it was made and everything.
Yeah, exactly. He can look at it and determine how it was actually done because he is a master stonemason. So he can look at that stuff just like Carmen Legg can look at a metal object and tell you a lot about it from just looking at it and feeling of it and seeing how the grain in the metal is done. So can Sean Williamson do that same thing when he's looking at stonework because of the fact that he is a master stonemason. So it's going to be great. I'm really, really looking forward to it. And I hope you folks are here with us for that night or that day, I should say. It's going to be 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern time on Saturday, this coming Saturday. And then after that, then we've got more. Let's see, we've got, like I said, Carmen Leg coming up on the 30th. And then we have Alessandra is coming up, and that's the New Ross Castle. They own the property up there with New Ross Castle, and the stone that was there on that that had the Templar cross on it, and also that well that was on there. And then Laird and Stephen Guptill coming up after that. We're working on some more coming down the road after that. I'm hoping that we have been talking with the narrator, Robert Clotworthy, about coming on and talking with us. So that's going to be looking forward. And we're going to get Tony. Tony, we got to get you on the show. I'd love to get. I haven't locked that in. I haven't been reaching out to you. I know you've been on a few other shows lately too. So that's why I figured I'd give you a little bit of a break. But Tony, we really want you to come on and join us here and talk about some of the great things that I know you have a lot to discuss about what's happening in Nova Scotia, Mahone Bay, and beyond. And and also. Yeah, and so we're really looking forward. We want to get you on here as well, and we're working with some other people too to have come on the show down the road. We're really trying to keep those kind of interviews for Saturday, because I don't want it to interfere with what we talk about on the show recap here on Wednesday night. So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much again, Jack, for being here with me again tonight.
Thank you, people.
As always, Linda, thank you so much for all the work that you do to make this group what it is. The hard work you do, and also Jan, the work that you do to put together the synopsis. Thank you so much. And I know we've got other folks out there that are doing work on trying to nail down where everybody is in our group, where they're located throughout the world, doing all that work.
It's 50 states today, to all 50 states today too.
Really? Wow.
Yes, you finally got a one for Nebraska. Okay,
wow, that's just incredible. It really is. And I can't thank you all enough for joining and just being part of it. Thanks all, everybody. Have a good night, and hope to see you here on Saturday. All right. Bye-bye.